The story kicks off at Seohan University, where Han Tai-soo, a 23-year-old student, gets introduced. Two girls come up to him all smiles after hearing from Yunhee that he's known for covering classes for others without ever skipping. They ask him for a favor, but instead of answering, Tai-soo just shows them a flyer for his proxy attendance service. On it, the prices are listed: 10,000 won for attending a class, 100,000 won for finishing assignments, and a clear note saying no exam proxies since that's illegal. The girls are shocked, one questioning the flyer and the other asking if he really charges for this. Calmly, Tai-soo explains it's 10,000 per class, but since it's their first time and they came through a friend, he'll give them a discount. The girls happily agree, thank him, and say they'll count on him. He calls them his customers. Right then, two of his friends show up from behind. They praise him for being so clever, saying he looks more and more like a businessman every time. They even ask if he can help them out too. Without saying a word, Tai-soo hands them the same flyer. His friends laugh, complaining that even his close friends they don't get a discount. Later in class, when the professor calls attendance, Tai-soo smoothly answers for his friends too. When the lesson ends and the professor dismisses everyone, he slips out right away. His friends notice and joke maybe he's running off to meet a girlfriend, but then laugh, saying it's probably just another part-time job. They tease that he'd probably grab someone by the collar and shout the money was worth 3 months' rent. They even say if he ever starts dating, they'll do a naked breakdance and upload it on YouTube. The narration shifts into Tai-soo's perspective. For students without parental backup, every minute matters, and survival means treating time like an investment. Back at home, he checks the gold price and sees it went up. Then he looks at his phone, noting tomorrow's class is at 11. If he sleeps 4 hours, he can play until 7. If he farms about 1.5 billion gold in game, he'll earn good money. Of all the things in his life, gaming is what he values most. It requires no physical effort. He can play whenever he's free, and on lighter days, he even does assignments while grinding. Watching the screen explode with battles feels oddly relaxing. Other players gather, amazed by his performance. They notice he hasn't spent real money but still deals huge damage. Whispering, they recognize him as that famous gold farmer who sells in-game cash without spending any. Then another player, Fallen Power Angel, shows up and starts trash-talking. She insults him and tells him to leave their guild's hunting zone before she wrecks him. Tai-soo ignores her and keeps playing calmly. The more he doesn't respond, the angrier she gets until she's spamming curses, even threatening to meet him in real life and beat him. The scene jumps to a police station. Tai-soo has filed a complaint against that abusive player. There the player is revealed as a young woman, frustrated, insisting she was provoked. Still, the officer scolds her. At that moment, Tai-soo arrives. The officer recognizes him and introduces the girl behind Fallen Power Angel as Chamia. The instant Mia sees him, both freeze. Their eyes lock and recognition hits. Excited, Mia blurts out that it's really Han Tai-soo. The officer notices and asks if they know each other. Mia immediately confirms, saying Tai-soo is her ex-boyfriend. Quietly, Tai-soo reflects, realizing the girl in front of him is truly his ex from 5 years ago. Same age, same school, same class. Back then, Mia was quiet, unnoticed, the kind of girl always reading in the corner. She was ordinary to the point of being invisible. He had once approached her, placing a paper on her desk telling her to come to the library at 4. He waved and left. She looked at the note, then held it to her chest, smiling in happiness. Most of his memories of her had faded, except the breakup. It was September 27th in their second year of high school when her family suddenly moved away overnight. Following her out of the station, that memory resurfaces. They were supposed to meet that day. He wonders why she left without saying anything. For a moment, he thinks of asking, but stops himself. Meanwhile, Mia mutters in frustration about how ridiculous it is to now deal with him demanding 100,000 won settlement over some insults in a game. Tai-soo holds back, deciding this isn't the moment. Instead, he studies her, asking himself if this is really the same girl he once knew. At first, he thought it was just someone with the same name, but now he knows it's her. He wonders how someone can change so much. Even people at reunions look different. But Mia feels completely unfamiliar. Not just her looks, but her aura. It's totally different. She feels like a delinquent now. Nothing like the shy girl he remembered. He thinks normally when someone says it's me, the reaction is recognition. But with Mia, everything feels strange. Suddenly, she spins around, confronting him, demanding to know why he's following her. She accuses him of feeling guilty for charging money over just a few in-game insults. She reminds him they once knew each other and thought he'd laugh it off, but instead he asked for money, which she calls petty. Taisu wonders why she's talking so much. She presses harder, asking if he plans to apologize. He calmly replies he's not following her. Taisu warns her back, saying he feels no guilt. He reminds her he gave her a discount, lowering the fine from 100,000 to 10,000 just because he knew her. He adds he could always raise it again. Hearing this, Mia softens a bit, admitting she doesn't even have 10,000 won right now. She asks him to let it slide once, but he refuses, saying he'll still take it. Finally, she gives in, agreeing to pay 10,000. She adds that even with his wealthy background, he's still sharp with money, someone destined to be rich. At that point, Taisu calls her name. When she responds, he quietly asks how she's been. She freezes at the question. He notices and asks why. She explains it's because he's changed. He never used to care. She says nothing worth mentioning has happened, and there's no point telling him. She reminds him they won't see each other again, and as long as she pays, that's all he needs to know. She asks him not to be curious, just like they never cared before. She says they should keep living like the other doesn't exist. With that, she wishes him well and walks away. Watching her leave, Taisu reflects those were the last words of his ex-girlfriend after 5 years. He wonders if that's really all she has to say. He reminds himself she was the one who vanished without warning. So if anyone should be mad, it's him. He admits the settlement wasn't about money. He only wanted an excuse to keep her around a little longer because he's never been good with words. As he walks away, he accepts it as the end. They'll never meet again, but fate has other plans. A month later at Seohan University, Taisu and Mia cross paths once more. Both are caught completely off guard. Flustered, Mia mutters a single word under her breath. Again, the scene shifts to later. In his apartment, Taisu stands by the window of his new place, watching as a moving truck stops nearby. A family is relocating into one of the houses close by. He thinks to himself how wild it is that someone actually managed to find a place like this at such timing, comparing it to scoring an S-class drop in a game. It had only been 4 days since the semester began, and this apartment was the only one-room spot within a 5-minute walk from campus that came with a 5 million won deposit and a 500,000 won rent. Even though the building was old, the low cost and prime location made it extremely rare and nearly impossible to get. Taisu reminds himself that most of the residents in this area are students from the same university. As his thoughts wander, a familiar name pops up, Chamia. He wonders if she's commuting. The sudden encounter with her the previous day replays in his mind. It had been so unexpected. He remembers how it happened. She was called into the broadcast room. The moment he saw her there, he froze in shock, questioning why she was even present. Mia, just as surprised, stiffened the moment she recognized him. Convinced he was stalking her, she looked disgusted. Panicking, she even reached for her phone, threatening to call the cops, claiming a suspicious man was nearby. Baffled by her reaction, Taisu just tapped her lightly on the head and asked what nonsense she was spouting, quickly explaining he was also a student there. Her eyes widened in shock when she realized he was enrolled at the same university, even more so when she found out he was in media and communication. Taisu, equally stunned, questioned if she was really in his department, which would technically make her his junior. Coldly, Mia cut him off, reminding him of what she said before, that it would be better if they acted like strangers and minded their own business. Without another word, she turned and walked away, leaving him standing there confused, unable to understand why she was so angry. As those memories resurface, he forces himself to calm down. He tells himself to forget it. He had already promised not to care anymore. It was nothing but leftover feelings. Still, he can't help but wonder if the family moving in next door could possibly be her. Then he shakes off the thought, telling himself no way, that's impossible. Just then the doorbell rings. When Tai-Soo opens it, he freezes. Standing there with a plate of cake is Chamia. She greets him with a bright smile, explaining she just moved in next door and hopes they can get along. He stands there completely bewildered. Mia, just as startled, blurts out that she brought rice cake. Then suddenly, she shoves the plate at his face. He doesn't even react, which makes her scowl and accuse him again of being a stalker. Calmly, he points out that she's the one who showed up at his door. Suspicious, Mia asks if the apartment belongs to a friend. He answers it's his own. She then asks if he's planning to move out anytime soon. He replies simply that he isn't. Hearing this, she grows frustrated, blaming herself for signing the lease too quickly just because the apartment was cheap and close to school. Watching her reaction only makes Tai-Soo more confused. Soon Mia's tone shifts back to calm as she says it would be best if they didn't bother each other. As neighbors, they should act like the other doesn't exist. Still stunned, Tai-Soo reluctantly agrees, even addressing her as ma'am. Suddenly Mia grabs a fire extinguisher and mutters strangely that she feels like she overheard something she shouldn't have. The sight of the cylinder makes him uneasy, and he rushes to close the door. But Mia blocks it with her foot, refusing to let it shut. He asks why she's doing that, reminding her she was the one who called him Mr. First. She presses him to open the door so they can talk about what he just said. Frustrated, he snaps back, pointing out that since they're the same age, she's just as old as him. Narrating to himself, he admits the truth. His ex-girlfriend, the one he broke up with 5 years ago, just moved in next door. Her name is Mia. When the door opens again, Mia confronts him, accusing him of still not reflecting. She warns him that if he confesses now, she'll only half kill him. Tai-Soo's mind drifts to the past. He remembers where he used to see her most, the library at sunset, his favorite time of day. But looking at her now, he can't understand why she's changed so much. What happened in those years to make her glare at him like she truly wanted to kill him? He tries to recall if he did anything wrong back then, but nothing comes to mind. She was the one who made the promise, and she was the one who never showed up. Later, the doorbell rings again, pulling him out of his thoughts. Checking the camera, he sees Mia standing there drenched, her clothes soaked. When he opens the door, she looks helpless, asking if he knows how to check water pipes. Apparently, the whole floor is flooded, leaving him stunned. He rushes to check and explains it looks like a pipe burst from the cold, telling her to call the landlord. She sighs, saying she already tried, but the landlord didn't answer. Frustrated, she mutters that if she'd known this would happen, she would have just spent more money on a better place. She grumbles about how unlucky it is for this to happen on her very first day moving in. Watching her shiver, Tai-Soo recalls a past moment where she trembled from the cold the same way. He stares without realizing until she notices, startled, asking why he's looking. Embarrassed, he quickly turns away and denies it. She picks up a cleaning stick, insisting he was staring because they made eye contact. She orders him to fix the situation. That's when he notices her wet clothes turning see-through. Flustered, he looks away as she mocks him, making silly faces, teasing that he must be thinking something weird at a time like this. Blushing, he raises his voice in protest, saying it's not like that. She presses him harder, asking what it is then. Cornered, he blurts out, red-faced, that he's just worried about her. His words leave her stunned for a second. Gathering himself, he grabs her collar lightly, telling her to come inside so he can give her something to dry off with. She questions him, but he explains if she stays like that, she'll catch a cold. Instead of accepting, she hits him with a stick, yelling she can just stay in her own place. He warns her not to swing it dangerously, but she keeps hitting until finally calming down. With a sigh, she admits she's thankful for his help, but makes it clear she doesn't want to owe him anything. She doesn't want any more involvement. Entering her room, she orders him to stop meddling and just go to bed unless he wants his weekend ruined. He asks if she'll be okay once the pipe is shut off. As she steps inside, she freezes at the chill. He points out the boiler will stop too, leaving her with no heat. Trembling, she insists it's no big deal, it's just winter. Watching her, he mutters she's stubborn. Blushing faintly, he adds an offer if she wants. He'll charge 1,101 per hour to stay warm in his room. If she doesn't like it, forget it. She cuts him off, saying there should be one more condition. That catches him off guard. The scene shifts. Now he stands outside his own apartment, questioning if the situation is really okay. He only meant for her to dry off and stay warm until the landlord came. But instead, Mia paid him 3,000 extra to use the shower. As she bathes, he waits anxiously in the hallway. It feels strange. A moment ago, she was so hostile. Now she's way too defenseless. And inside, a strange feeling stirs. Not excitement, not pleasant, just the uneasy sense he's forgetting something important. At that moment, two classmates arrive carrying drinks. They ask about the flood, teasing him for showing up 10 minutes earlier than their planned hangout. He suddenly realizes with a jolt he completely forgot about this meeting. Staying quiet, he listens as they chat about the place, calling it the guardian of their last train rides, their beloved hangout spot. They admit they were worried it might be unusable. Then one of them notices water leaking from the room next door, saying it looks like a pipe burst there even though Hyun said this was Tae-soo's place. The other adds Hyun was especially worried, which is why they came. Hearing this, and glancing at Mia's room right beside his, Tae-soo panics. His mind races at what would happen if they barged in and found her inside. To avoid trouble, he quickly suggests they go drink outside instead. Nervously, he explains his place is a mess from the flood, so he'll treat them. They're shocked, asking if he hit his head. They tease, pulling his cheeks, saying maybe he's an alien pretending to be him. Annoyed, he demands to know if they're going or not. Overjoyed, they agree, joking they might never hear him offer to pay again. Relieved, he thinks it's settled. He plans to clean quick and join them. But just as they're about to leave, Mia steps out of his room, announcing she's done showering. Tae-soo freezes in fear. Mia notices the two guys and casually asks who they are. His classmates go silent, stunned at the sight of a girl walking out of his place after bathing. Exactly what he dreaded happens. They grab him, demanding to know why such a pretty girl is coming from his room. One even accuses him of leading an innocent girl astray. Flustered, he places a hand on Mia's shoulder, blurting out that she's his younger sister. Mia is shocked at the sudden lie, but his classmates don't believe him. They shout there's no way such a classy girl could be related to someone as shabby as him. Mia whispers, questioning the sister excuse, but he silences her, telling her to just go along if she doesn't want more trouble. He explains these are his classmates, seniors in his department, so the lie works. Reluctantly, Mia plays along, confirming she's his sister. Her cute expression instantly makes them fall for her. Then a bang echoes from the wall as another girl shows up laughing, questioning how she never heard about this before. His classmates are shocked again. This girl is Na Hyun, 21 years old, from his hometown, a junior who has secretly loved him for 10 years. The scene shifts to next morning at the university. Hyun corners Tae-soo, grilling him with sharp questions. She demands to know if he really made up the story about Mia being his younger sister just to cover things up. Calm and steady, he insists he was telling the truth. Hyun presses harder, asking if absolutely nothing happened between them. Casually, Tae-soo repeats that nothing did. Around them, other students whisper, speculating if the two might actually be dating. Tae-soo's thoughts drift back to the mess with the burst pipe. Luckily, the landlord had shown up later and taken care of it, so things didn't spiral. Hyun, meanwhile, reminds herself that Tae-soo isn't the type to lie to her. She admits she doesn't fully understand what happened, but since it's him, she chooses to believe. She mutters to herself that if it had been Mani or Young Hanbi, she might have doubted them. But Tae-soo is different. She's known him far too long. He reflects quietly, noting that Na Hyun is not just a university junior, but a childhood friend he's known for over 10 years. The youngest in a family of 3 brothers and 1 sister, all tied to a big taekwondo studio in their neighborhood. Hyun grew up with fighting in her blood. Even though she's small, she was naturally talented. By the 6th grade, she had already become a local legend, known for countless fights. People even gave her a nickname, the Crazy Chihuahua of Gwangjang-dong. Shortened in Korean, it became Doki. As they head toward the student council room, Hyun brings up something more serious. She asks about Mia, pointing out that she's definitely Chamia. Taesu frowns, questioning why she's asking. Hyun explains that Mia has changed way too much. Her body, her vibe, her aura. It's hard to believe she's the same person from before. Taesu tries brushing it off, saying maybe she just grew up, but Hyun isn't convinced. She insists that doesn't explain it, saying the girl only feels vaguely similar, like she's staring at a totally different person. Then Hyun voices the real question. Why did Mia vanish without a word back then, only to come back now? She reminds him he went through a lot because of her sudden disappearance. Right then another girl enters, interrupting by asking who disappeared without saying anything. Startled, Hyun greets her as Hyu Sunbae. This is Song Hyu, 24, the student council president of public administration, and also the girl Taesu secretly has a crush on. She greets them warmly, thanking Hyun and Taesu for helping out so early even though they're not in the council. She explains they're short on people because of the department MT preparations. Hyun confidently reassures her, saying she's fine with the work. Then she turns to Taesu, asking if he's okay too, wondering if he isn't too busy with part-time jobs. Seeing his crush, Taesu's heart races. He quickly replies there's no problem, even adding that he quit all overlapping jobs just to make time. Surprised, Hyu asks if he's really okay going that far. He reassures her not to worry, explaining he recently earned extra income. Relieved, she smiles, calling it good news. Fired up by her presence, he insists she should just tell him what to do. Watching this, Hyun pouts, annoyed he only acts this way around Hyu. Together, they start helping her organize things. She gives clear instructions, pointing out what items go where and what needs moving. Taesu, while following along, thinks to himself about Song Hyu, the girl a year above him who he secretly likes. Suddenly, Monkey and Yanga appear, poking at his cheeks and teasing. Monkey smirks, pointing out how shocking it is that Taesu actually ditched part-time jobs to help. Yanga adds, mocking, that he always said he never did unpaid work. Taesu thinks these two especially must never find out about his sacrifices. But Yanga smirks knowingly, saying they already know. He jokes it must be because of a girl. Embarrassed, Taesu's face turns red. Yanga keeps at it, saying this year's freshmen are supposed to be insane. Looks, backgrounds, all on another level. Monkey chimes in, saying among them, the girl Taesu brought yesterday stood out the most. Yanga agrees, claiming she's his future wife, the most impressive of the bunch. Then he remembers Taesu was with Hyun yesterday. Just then Hyun steps in, pulling both of them back. She hides her irritation behind a forced smile, telling them firmly to get back to work. They grumble, but obey, and soon everyone is working efficiently. When the tasks wrap up, Hyu smiles warmly, announcing that the day's work is finished. She thanks everyone for their effort and tells the student council members to gather at the front gate by 7, while the rest should come at 8. She thanks Taesu and Hyun specifically for coming early despite not being part of the council. With a playful wink, she adds that after the MT, drinks are on her, so they better not skip out. Fired up, Taesu declares with passion that even if he got into a car accident, he'd still show up. Hyun, watching him, can't help but feel both frustration and disgust at his dramatic behavior. She mutters awkwardly that he doesn't have to go that far. Later that evening, Taesu returns to his flat. Unlocking the door, he thinks about Mia's sudden return. He admits to himself that claiming he's not shaken would be a lie. Still, he reminds himself that Hyu Sunbae is the one who matters. Even with Chamia back, his focus is on her. At that moment, Mia passes by. They both freeze when they see each other. His eyes land on the huge pile of snacks she's carrying. He remarks that if she eats that much, she'll get fat. Embarrassed, Mia snaps back, asking why he cares, saying she should be allowed to eat what she wants. She explains it's not like she bought all of it for herself. She's planning to share on the MT bus tomorrow. Taesu scoffs, comparing her behavior to a grade schooler, reminding her they already bought snacks with club funds. Mia stops in surprise, asking if he's going to MT too. He confirms. She asks again, almost in disbelief, and he affirms once more. Mia then pleads with him not to go, saying she doesn't want him ruining her first MT. She explains that as a sunbae, he's been aplenty, so he could skip just one. But for her, as a freshman, it's her very first MT, and she wants it special. Tae-soo steps closer, saying that while they're at it, he has a question. He demands to know what annoys her so much, what he did that was so wrong. He reminds her she was the one who broke the promise. Her expression darkens. She coldly admits he's right, that it was her fault. She reminds him she told him not to act like he knew her. With that, she walks away. He tries to stop her, but she doesn't respond. Left behind, he fumes, wondering why it always turns out this way when they meet. The scene shifts forward. The day of the MT finally arrives. Hee-yu explains to the group that too many people signed up at the last minute, leaving no room left on the bus. Because of that, 2 people will have to ride with her in the car. It turns out those 2 are Tae-soo and Mia. Embarrassed, the 2 glance at each other, clearly uncomfortable. On the bus, everyone had already settled into their seats. Hyun sat quietly, but her friend leaned closer, asking what was wrong. Hyun tried to brush it off, saying it was nothing, but her friend kept teasing, wondering if she was restless because she could not see her husband, meaning Tae-soo. The moment his name dropped, Hyun's face went bright red, caught between shock and embarrassment. With her cheeks burning, she stammered, denying it, insisting she and Tae-soo were not like that at all. Her friend grinned, clearly entertained by her reaction, saying she was only pointing out he was someone Hyun had known for a long time. Then she casually added that Tae-soo was not even on the bus since he was riding with Hee-yu's sunbae. That hit Hyun like a jolt. She nervously asked if that was true. Her friend nodded and said another freshman was in that car too, someone named Mia. The second that name came up, Hyun's expression froze in shock. Meanwhile, Tae-soo and Mia were seated inside Hee-yu's car. Hee-yu checked on them, asking if they were ready and had not forgotten anything. Mia said she was fine, and Tae-soo said the same. Mia then turned to glance at him, calling him sunbae while staring at what he was doing. Tae-soo, wearing a helmet, calmly explained it was for safety and even handed one to her, saying life was precious. She stared at him, baffled at why they would need helmets for a normal car ride. Trembling, Tae-soo muttered something about how, if it were bumper cars, helmets would not be necessary, which only made her more confused. Then Hee-yu hit the road. Her reckless driving left Mia in shock, clinging on until they finally arrived. By the time they reached their stop, she collapsed onto a bench, looking half dead. Her whole body was weak from the ride. She glanced at Tae-soo, asking faintly if she had already died. He handed her a canned coffee, asking why she was acting like she had just seen the light. Mia replied that it really felt like the Grim Reaper had come for her. Tae-soo pointed out that now she understood why every upperclassman had rushed to get on the bus. All the second years and above already knew about Hee-yu's terrifying driving. Mia admitted she was more shocked that despite driving like an F1 racer, Hee-yu's car did not have a single scratch. Then she looked back at Tae-soo, suspicious, asking why he was giving her coffee. He explained it was not from him, it was from Hee-yu's sunbae. Mia raised an eyebrow, asking if that was really true. Then she told him to thank Hee-yu for her, but added she was fine because she did not even like coffee. That floored Tae-soo. He asked if she really did not like it. A memory flashed back to when Mia used to gulp down every coffee he brought without hesitation. Back in the present, he muttered how strange that was, asking why he thought she liked it, reminding her how they always drank coffee together at the park. Mia cut him off, suggesting maybe he was mixing her up with someone else. She added that maybe she liked it back then, but she did not really remember those old moments anymore. With that, she stood up from the bench, looking him dead in the eye. She apologized, saying she did not want to get trapped in useless memories from the past. She reminded him that he knew better than anyone how tough things had been for her back then, and every time she saw him, those memories came flooding back, driving her crazy. Still, she admitted that whatever the case, fate had shoved them together again. Same school, same department, even living as neighbors. Because of that, she said she would not ask him to act like he did not know her at all. Instead, She bowed and asked him to just treat her like an ordinary junior. She promised to take back all the harsh things she had said until now. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Taisu alone with her words. Sitting in silence, Taisu processed it all. He admitted to himself that Mia had just rejected him, not with anger, but in the most polite and final way possible. The Mia he used to know was gone. He wondered why she even admitted to recognizing him earlier. If she had just acted like they were strangers from the start, things might have been easier. Before his thoughts could spiral, Hugh showed up and asked what he was doing sitting there. Startled, he quickly said he was just cloud watching. Hugh tilted her head, surprised, asking if that was actually fun. After a pause, Taisu admitted to himself it really was not. Once again, his mind went back to Mia's words. He reflected that what she said made sense. People always said even mountains could change in 10 years, so 5 years was more than enough for a person to change completely. Comparing the time they had been together to the years apart, he realized the gap was huge. The scene shifted to Hugh and Taisu standing together. She was on the phone with Subin, while he, lost in thought, found himself staring at her. When she turned and noticed, she asked what was wrong. Her gentle tone made his heart race, and for a second, he blushed. Flustered, he quickly said she had picked a really nice place for the MT. Brightening, Hugh explained she and Subin had put a lot of thought into it since it was their last gathering before graduation, and they wanted it to be memorable. Hearing that, Taisu thought her words sounded exactly like what a real sunbae would say. Inside, his resolve hardened. He had one goal, to confess to her before she graduated. Even though Mia had reappeared, he was not wavering. They kept walking together, chatting lightly. Taisu commented that the place must have been expensive and admitted he had not even paid. She reassured him it was fine, saying after everything he had done for them, this was nothing. Then she asked where the freshman was. Taisu answered that Mia said she would walk around for a bit before coming back. Right on cue, Mia appeared, this time dressed head to toe in a game cosplay outfit, complete with a helmet and a hockey stick. She asked if they were ready and declared she was all set. Taisu thought her getup was weird, while Hugh laughed, calling the new freshman funny. Looking at Taisu, Hugh asked if her driving was really that scary. Without hesitation, he put his helmet back on, saying it was not scary at all. Concerned, Hugh pressed again, asking if it was really that bad. The scene shifted again, showing Mia completely worn out. Other girls surrounded her, asking what had happened. One explained she had been this year's unlucky passenger of Hugh's infamous ride, adding that only Taisu ever managed to come out of it looking fine. Another muttered that unless someone was as unbothered as him, no one could survive it. Just then, Taisu felt a tap on his shoulder. Turning, he found another freshman standing there, asking if he had a moment. It was Shin Dabin, a 20-year-old who had just entered the university. The scene then moved forward. Hugh stood in front of everyone with a wide smile, announcing that the freshman orientation for the year was officially finished. Her cheerful voice carried through the hall as she introduced the next part of the night, a casual hangout with drinks. She explained that the organizers had already split everyone into groups of 6, mixing upperclassmen and freshmen to make sure everyone could talk and enjoy themselves. Lifting her hand high, she called for cheers in the name of the mighty medic. The hall immediately echoed with voices as everyone raised their cups and shouted together. Laughter filled the place as the party kicked off. But then Mia suddenly stepped forward. Looking hesitant, she asked if she could switch groups. Hugh, standing close by, answered firmly that changes were only allowed once every hour. Taisu, meanwhile, silently wondered how these strange groupings had even been decided. Unlike the others, his group felt oddly unbalanced with way too many girls. The thought left him uneasy. Across the hall, male students glared at him, jealousy written all over their faces. They cursed under their breath, grinding their teeth about why all the pretty girls seemed to be around Taisu. Feeling their stares, Taisu sighed inwardly at the unwanted attention. Just then, Dabin raised her juice, lightly tapping his cup with hers. She gave a playful wink and leaned closer. The bold move caught Hyun's eye, and her face stiffened with jealousy. Not wanting to lose, she quickly lifted her own drink and joined in with a stiff cheers, leaving Taisu caught between the two girls. His gaze drifted toward Mia, who was sipping her drink. Mia noticed and asked if they really had to clink glasses and say cheers every time before drinking. Taisu replied that it was not really necessary, but while drinking, he admitted to himself that this MT was already starting to feel tiring. This year's MT had way more attendees than usual. The reason was simple. The trio of influencer freshmen, Dabin, Yoonji, and Yenwoo. Yoonji was a study vlogger and live streamer. She had started streaming back in 9th grade and had built up around 40,000 subscribers. Yenwoo, who had entered after retaking the exam, ran a horror radio channel. Her pale skin and husky voice had made her stand out in that niche. As for Dabin, Taisu realized he did not know much about her. Curious, he asked. Yoonji looked surprised, asking if he really did not know. Taisu blinked, wondering if he was supposed to. Yoonji then explained that Dabin was the person behind Dabin's Fun Day, a very popular variety gaming channel with around 320,000 subscribers. She praised her as a great gamer and streamer. Dabin, embarrassed, waved it off, saying she was not anything special and only got attention for being a little decent at games. But to Taisu, she seemed like the most famous one of the three. He remembered how Hyu Sunbai once mentioned that this year had many well-known freshmen. That was why she had grouped them with him to prevent any incidents. She had called him the safest choice. Now he understood what she meant in her text, though he still was not sure why she thought he was safe. Dabin then asked if Taisu played games. He answered that he did, but only once in a while. When Dabin casually called him Appa, Hyun silently fumed, upset at how easily she addressed him. At the same time, Taisu noticed the sharp glares from the other guys who were clearly frustrated that all the pretty girls were gathered around him. He thought to himself that their jealousy explained why so many people wanted to come to the MT. Suddenly, Dabin's eyes lit up as she brought up the game Goop Story. Taisu was surprised to hear that Dabin also played the game. She revealed that she had been into it since elementary school. She asked which server he used, and Taisu answered that he was on the Sunduk server. Dabin's eyes lit up with excitement. That was her server too. Shocked, Taisu turned to Mia and asked if she had played on the same server as well. Mia froze, quickly gulping down her juice before nervously stammering. She pretended not to understand, asking if he was talking about goob serving, like working a restaurant. Inside, she reminded herself of their deal to act like they did not know each other. Dabin then mentioned a certain detail about their server. She said there was a notorious gold farmer named Han Yong Dong Han Taisu, a real troublemaker, and it had the exact same name as his. Taisu admitted that it was indeed him. Dabin stared at him, processing the truth. After a moment, she excused herself and left for the bathroom. As she washed her hands, she muttered that she had suspected it from the start. She confessed that the moment she heard the name Han Yong Dong, who during the welcome party, she had a feeling. Now that she had confirmed it was truly him, Yenwoo, who was nearby, remarked that since their school was in Yeongdong and his name was Taisu, it would actually be stranger if it was not him. She then questioned why Dabin had been looking for him so intently. Grinding her teeth, Dabin revealed the reason. She explained that in the game, her master, Fallen Power Angel, had been forced to quit. Her master had run into trouble after being made to pay compensation money all because of that idiot. Before leaving, her master had told her she was gone for good and asked Dabin to carry on the future of their BAP guild. Slamming her palms against the sink, Dabin fumed. She cursed that it was all because of him. If not for Taisu, she and her master would have already defeated the final boss. Yenwoo asked what Dabin was planning to do. Was she thinking about revenge? Dabin gave a sly grin. Instead of revenge, she said she would seduce him. Yenwoo was taken aback, but Dabin confidently boasted that she had never once failed when she decided to win someone over. The narration then cut back to their school life. Though they now met again as senior and junior, in reality, they were bitter enemies. Being in the same school meant their paths crossed often, and little by little, their feelings started to stir. By the time those emotions reached their peak, Dabin revealed her true aim. Crushing her juice can under her foot, She declared that she would trample on him at the very moment he confessed his feelings. This, she said, was the perfect way to avenge her master. Yenwoo gave her a knowing look, teasing that her head was like a flower garden, but admitted it was strangely cute. As they stepped out of the bathroom together, Dabin shivered and complained about the chill. She grumbled about why there were only 2 bathrooms for so many people and admitted she had not wanted to use the outdoor one because of the freezing weather. She muttered that it was what happened when a place got too crowded. Just then, she bumped into someone. Startled, she looked up and found herself face to face with 3 big men. They looked her over, commenting that she was cute and that they had seen her around before. The scene then shifted, showing Yenwoo hurrying toward the group, explaining that Dabin was now surrounded by members of the university wrestling team. But instead of trouble, the moment had turned into an unexpected fan signing event. He observed the scene and asked if that was really a problem. Hearing this, the other students grew excited and began shouting that it was a signing event with Dabin. They rushed for one as well. With many of them pushing forward, eager to join in, Hyu quickly shouted for Tae-soo to help out inside and asked Hyun to give her a hand. Hyun agreed immediately. Tae-soo, however, questioned whether he should be going outside to help instead of Hyun. Just as Tae-soo prepared to move, Mia grabbed his shirt from behind. She urgently told him not to go outside, warning that there was a problem in the girls' dorm. Thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, I'd love to hear your feedback since this is my first longer video of this kind. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and the rest of the chapters will be coming soon. Have a nice day.